So welcome, New. Maybe you can just tell us a little
Thank
bit more about your business, who you are, how you operate, where you operate.
Well, thank you very much for having me. My name is New Davidson, and I'm the owner of New Experiences, and we run a multifunctional turnkey solutions for events. So whether that's weddings or corporate functions, but our passions definitely lies within weddings.
Awesome. So New, tell me, when you start planning a wedding, where do you actually start, and how do you go about doing so?
So for couples who have just got engaged, I think it's very overwhelming for people when, you get engaged and there's a million questions and everyone wants to know what date, when, where, how, and you can get lost and overwhelmed very quickly in the thick of all the questions. I think it would be important for me to say a good starting point is to to go back to the drawing board with your partner. Take the time to firstly enjoy your engagement. That's very vital.
Yes.
A lot of people go straight from engagement and dive into the wedding planning when they forget to embrace what engagement really is and what kind of a level of commitment that is. And I'd say starting the planning process, the two biggest tips I could give is to identify what it is that you are wanting out of your wedding day. So what are the important factors of your wedding day? Why are you having it? Is it, to gather all your loved ones together, to have in a beautiful setting, to have good drinks, amazing food, and lovely music? What more could one ask for? So to start the process, identify what it is you want to achieve out of your wedding, what kind of an experience you want, as well as then start identifying what venue you would want to be looking at.
Awesome. How does one allocate budget to certain aspects of your wedding? Because that's always such an overwhelming thing as well, because you don't know what things cost.
You don't. And budget is something that is one of the most challenging parts of a wedding planning.
I'm sure
it is challenging for the couple, for the families involved, for the wedding planners. It is quite a challenge, and having a budget is very important. So a lot of people come in, I would say budget and guest list are the hardest tackles, are the hardest hurdles of planning a wedding. Exactly. Guest list is another level. But guest list hugely affects your budget. So they kind of go hand in hand. If you have, for example, 300,000 Rand as your budget, which is about an average wedding in Cape Town, and you have 200 guests, your level of, luxury for your wedding is going to be quite different. You may have to find compromise. Okay. Either drop your guest list or find a better budget if that's possible.
Awesome. And how far in advance would you say you need to book the rest of your vendors? As soon as you have a wedding venue, I would say that you can start slotting that in. But how far in advance would you say is needed for a general Western Cape wedding?
For a general, one thing I must mention for your budget planning is to work in order of importance. Okay. That helps you identify when you're going to be booking your next supplier, which brings me to the next question of when you should be booking. So your order of importance would be your venue, which then in turn locks your wedding date in. You cannot book anything else if you don't have a wedding date. So your venue is number one, and then you can work on the next fastest booking thing, and prioritize, which would be, say, for example, your photographer. They all have different levels of in the Western Cape, of who books the fastest. Photographers book so fast. Yes. And then you'd move on to caterers, you'd then move on to the drinks, then you'd then move on to flowers and styling, and definitely don't try to do everything in one. Like, everyone tries to tackle a million suppliers, shoot out a million.
Pace yourself a little bit.
Pace yourself. Pick a month and pick what you're working on that month. Is it venue and photographer this month? Enjoy picking who you're picking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next question. How do you go about actually choosing your vendors? And what is the important aspects to consider when choosing your vendor?
Choosing your vendors is a personal preference. Okay. I could recommend certain people, but I recommend knowing who my couple are. I better understand my couple. Picking your wedding planner, your photographer, your caterer, you must have a connection with them, particularly the people who are going to be in your space during your day. So your wedding planner, you're going to be on a very intimate journey with them. So make sure you have a deep connection with them. Make sure you resonate and you can truly understand each other. Because if one doesn't have a good connection, how are they supposed to manage your expectations and kind of think for you?
So would you say it's then necessary to maybe have just like a little bit of a touch base meeting ahead of time so that you can sort of just gauge and get a feel for the vendors so that you can see whether you gel or not? Or
I would shortlist your vendors, so pick maybe your top 3 people, and that's based purely on how you'd pick anyone else. Social media, what a valuable tool. So pick people who you resonate with on social media, who you're attracted to. Then out of those 3, pop them an email. You'll definitely, if that through that inquiry process, immediately you're going to know who's you're gelling with out of the response. How quick is the response? What are they saying in their response? Is it super formal and you're super casual? Is it too casual and you're quite formal? You would then pick up a bit of a connection from there. If all 3 come back and you're like, oh my gosh, they're amazing, that's incredible. Set up a Skype or a coffee date if you're not with them. Very important.
That's brilliant advice. And what would you say, in your professional opinion, is the biggest mistakes that couples make when planning their wedding? I'm sure there's loads, but there is a few that you can just maybe pinpoint.
I would say one thing that couples do make the mistake of is focusing on details that don't necessarily mold your day. Okay. You can get so quickly lost in other friends' weddings and comparisons. You know, throughout life, it's super important not to compare. Your biggest failure is when you start comparing yourself to someone else. Don't compare your wedding. Stay true to what it is that your vision is for your day. For you as a couple, what is your vision for your day? And focus on that. The detailing of, don't put all your energy in the color of the napkins or the flower that you're hung up on. If you're focusing on those things and they don't pan out the way you plan, and then you get upset, you're getting married for the wrong reasons.
Yes, of course.
Focus on the foundations of what is going to create the experience.
Do you need a wedding planner, and what is the benefits of hiring one?
So yes and no, which is contradictory because this is my business. So I want to say yes, but realistically, a wedding planner has value, definitely. The reasons why you would get a wedding planner, so I'm going to go backwards and start with why you wouldn't. If you're super organized, you know exactly who you want, what you are, you're that kind of woman or couple who's been planning their wedding from when they were young and their Pinterest board is on point, then no, you don't need a full wedding planner. Then search for a wedding planner who has a more on-the-day package, which is literally coming on board maybe a week or 2 before and organizing the logistics of your wedding. Very vital. The benefits to having a planner, whether it be on the day or a full coordination, you get the benefit of knowledge, so the expertise of your wedding planner guiding you through, to take you through the process a step at a time, to picking particular suppliers that resonate with you and that they would recommend to achieve your vision. They also are able to negotiate or get better, not necessarily, they do get better rates, but also they can spot when things are missing. They're thinking on a logistical level. They're not going to forget to dot the I's and cross the T's, for example. The hugest importance of having an on-the-day planner, I would say, is an absolute must. If you can afford it, because you don't want your mother or bridesmaids rushing around on the day, stressing because the delivery is late and that hasn't been set up yet, and it's touch and go to literally the moment you sit down and walk your aisle. So yes, they're very, very, very vital. A lot of venues, however, do offer that management as an option.
And with that being said, there's sometimes a lot of talk in the industry about the difference between a wedding planner and a coordinator. Is there a difference? Is it the same thing? What would you say? How does that part work?
Personal opinion, I would say, is basically the same thing. A coordinator coordinates all the suppliers. That's a vital mistake a lot of people make. When booking a planner or a coordinator, you think that the planner is physically going to be picking up the couch, therefore you don't need a team to set up. Your planner is not picking up the couch. They are coordinating the vision. It's basically like conducting an orchestra. That's a coordinator.
Awesome. Well, I know as well. And is there any other advice that you have for couples? I know you spoke about it a little bit in the beginning, like you need to enjoy your day and take everything in, and enjoy the process as well of being engaged. But is there any other tips that you have for the couples?
If I were to give one tip for couples to walk away with, is at some point before your wedding, let go and embrace the moment. You've put a lot of energy, effort, and love and money into this day. Embrace it for all that it brings. Whether it brings rain or something doesn't go according to plan, at the foundation of it, the fundamental fact is that you're there to celebrate love.
And
so stay focused on that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you got married to the love of your life. So if that happens, all went well.
100%. If you get married at the end of the day, mission accomplished.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us, and I certainly have learned a lot.
Amazing.
So,
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me on board.